Well, well, well.
Oh, no, that's on me. We're good. It's on the TV, I'm sorry.
Well, 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 indeed. Anyways, thanks for that, honey. Welcome back, everybody, to the No Payne podcast, the most awesome podcasts of all the podcasts. And today is a little more special. Today is the 50th episode, although I'm getting shushed here. What's going on?
I'm trying to tap it. You have to say anything.
Okay, well, we are off to a start, of course, full of just flying colors and wonderful, awesome things. Anyways, where should I start? Right, from the beginning. It's the 50th episode. We were in a mad dash. I'm not sure if the title was updated to show that it was the 50th episode. If it was, that's fantastic. I am getting the thumbs up from the HQ behind the tech desk. So thank you, Carly, for that update. It's the 50th awesome episode of the No Payne podcast, and I am pleased to announce that today we've got an old buddy here. He is the supreme real estate agent of Calgary and the surrounding area. His name is Jessie Lindbeck. He is with eXp Realty, and he is in the hot seat today. Jesse, how are you doing, man?
Oh, absolutely awesome. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm stoked to be here.
Yeah, awesome. No, I think we're doing so good. So far, so good anyways, despite the rough start we had. But it's not the first time we've had a rough start to the podcast. But I guess it takes at least 51 episodes before you can work out all of those kinks before things are completely smooth sailing.
Well, that's what makes it fun, you know? That's what makes it unique and vibrant and awesome.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, if everything went as planned all the time, life would just be boring. Podcasts would be boring, right?
100%.
Yeah, of course. Right. Again, real estate seems to be the topic. I'm happy to have another guest. I think you're the first real estate male, actually, that we've had in the podcast room. Seems to have been female real estate agents thus far. So you'll definitely bring a different twist to the description of the industry, I suppose. Maybe one that we haven't heard yet from our previous guests. So why don't I throw a curveball question at you to start off the podcast? How would the position differ for a male versus female in the real estate world?
It's an interesting question because I don't think it would differ too much.
Right.
I mean, I haven't really experienced anything or witnessed anything that would make it different. The only thing that comes to mind is if I'm showing clients homes at 8 o'clock at night and it's pitch black and it's just me alone with my clients, I'm not worried.
Right.
Whereas that might be a little nerve-wracking for a solo female agent. Other than that, really, there's no real difference.
Right. I didn't think there would be. I think that was a very insightful answer, no doubt about it. I said curveball question for a reason, only because I, for one, hadn't really thought of that until that moment, but I also figured it would be a difficult question to answer. But I think you answered it perfectly.
Well, thank you, good sir.
Right. So why don't we learn a little bit more about you as a real estate agent and maybe how you got involved in the industry in the beginning? If you want to give us your origin story.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got my real estate license this year, so I'm still new to the industry, right? That being said, it's been one heck of a year to start out in real estate because it's been unbelievable. So let's go back to the end of 2019. I'll keep it somewhat brief. I won't get into too much personal stuff, but end of 2019, my girlfriend and I at the time, actually still a current girlfriend, we're walking the dog outside and, you know, I keep noticing different homes and different layouts and different backyards, and I'm talking her ear off every day about different real estate homes and features and all this and that, until finally one day she goes, why don't you just become an agent? Why don't you become a realtor?
It's a sensible question. Yeah.
So it's like, well, I hadn't really thought of that. Like, where do I begin? So I looked into it. The pandemic hit in 2020. I put everything on pause. And then finally got my license this past year. So after studying it for a couple of years, I'm finally happy to say that I am now a fully licensed realtor and know exactly what I'm talking about and what I'm doing.
Yeah, fantastic. That's an accomplishment, of course, on a personal level as well as on a business level for you. I noticed that actually a while back as well. We were acquainted online and start to see all of these posts and these stories pop up related to your journey in real estate and the new affiliation you have with the XP and everything. So in a way, I was proud of you, right?
Thanks,
to see fellow headbangers and acquaintances from past days reaching personal goals like that.
Yeah,
It was
thank you.
inspiring, of course. And,
Thank you.
No, it certainly helps to light the fire under people in a way to help them to pursue their own goals, right? And help to inspire them to achieve whatever they set their mind to. So
Absolutely. And it goes to show that if you have a goal, if you have something you're curious about, take the shot. Just go for it, right? I mean, there's going to be people who say you can't do it. There's going to be people who say, oh, that's a tough industry. No matter what it is, if you're starting a business, it's going to be hard, right? And you're going to have people telling you how hard it is the whole time. So it goes to show, like, just focus on your dream, focus on your goal, whatever that is, work hard at it every day, and just execute. Execute every day. That's the most important thing.
right, that's a great word to use, I think, no doubt about it. And I guess setting appropriate goals for yourself, even though some could be very large scale, others could be smaller. I mean, as long as you set goals that you are able to, as you'd put it, execute every day, those smaller goals will certainly accumulate to the point where you're reaching these major milestones, right?
100%.
Yeah, so you can never
100%.
really knock yourself for accomplishing small things each day, because in the long run, every small accomplishment is certainly beneficial and worthwhile.
And that's how big goals get accomplished, are little steps at a time.
Right.
There's a quote, I can't remember who said it, but anytime he felt stuck, right, he would go and watch a stone cutter, and he would watch the stone cutter hit this stone 1,000 times. And on the 1,001th time, it would split. Now, if you just see the stone split, you would think, oh, maybe it took one. No, it took 1,000 before. The 1,000 hits before all led up to that big moment. So it's the little things you do consistently all the time, every day, that lead to the big end results. So
right.
that's
I guess the moral of the story is don't get discouraged.
exactly.
I guess by those smaller.
100%.
What is going on? Oh my goodness!
That's bells and whistles.
It's okay. Yeah. Well, we do have work phones in the room, and work phones are constantly ringing off the hook.
Always busy. It's
Yeah,
an
I
awesome
guess,
problem to have.
Yeah, the best interruption we could think of.
There.
Anyways,
Absolutely.
that's funny. It's a No Payne guy calling. Thanks, Sarah. Shout out.
Shout out.
But no, right. Not to get discouraged by what is seemingly no progress whatsoever. Right.
Exactly.
It's really easy to get discouraged by that, but of course, having a certain amount of patience would certainly be the real key to
Patience, yes.
accomplishing those goals. Right?
With real estate, with entrepreneurship, with any time you're doing something you haven't done before and it's on you, patience is huge.
Yeah, of course. I'm sure the infamous owner himself, the awesome Michael Payne, knows that all too well, considering he built this company from the ground up, and yeah, he knows exactly what you're talking about. Right?
Absolutely. It rings true in every profession.
Of course, right. So you mentioned now that you're fully licensed. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about what that entails exactly, or I mean, the kind of process you went through in order to achieve that status?
So to get your real estate license in Alberta, there's 4 classes of license you can have. You can have residential, you can have commercial, you can have agriculture, or property management. Of course, you can be licensed in all 4. But usually what people do is they choose one area and they focus on that.
Right.
And then as time goes on, they either build up their business in that industry, or they'll branch out, or there's a variety of different ways you can go about it. So the first thing you have to do, and I won't get too deep into it, but it's not as intimidating as people think it is. It's a lot of studying, it's a lot of learning, it's a lot of reading about laws, contracts, a lot of the quote unquote boring things.
I guess so, yeah.
But it's just like learning anything, right? It's an online course. So you go onto the Real Estate Council of Alberta's website. You do the online course. There's 2 different courses. The first course you do is the fundamentals of real estate. That they give you a year and a half to complete everything. I finished that course in about 3 months while working full time. So
Right. Well, you were determined, of course.
if you set aside an hour or 2 a day, you'll get it done in 2 months, right? Like it's all about how much time you want to put into it. I was pretty determined to get into
Right,
it, so I wanted to
yeah.
get it done as soon as possible. So then once you finish that course, you take an exam. Then you get into your either residential, commercial, agricultural, or property management. You pick one of those. You do a course on that online. You take a test. Then after you pass all of that, you apply to different brokerages. You find the brokerage that's right for you. And once you get hired at the brokerage, they send off your license. And as long as you're with a brokerage in Alberta, you can hold a valid license. So that's sort of a rundown of everything.
Right. Well, it doesn't sound as intimidating as I thought it would.
It's not. It's not as hard. It's hard, but it's not as intimidating as people think it is, right?
Right.
They want to make sure they have the right people getting in, so they're going to have the tests, they're going to have the material, but it's not as impossible as people think it is, right?
Right. A little less impossible than, I guess, becoming an astronaut, or I guess saying like an like a structural underwater welder or something
Exactly.
crazy
There's
like
no
that.
breathing tests, there's no
Right.
eye exams, there's nothing like that, right?
Right.
So
Well, I mean, book learning can be, if I were to use a Rickyism, I suppose, a bookism, or a Rickyism rather, book learning could be a difficulty for some. Anyways, I guess some people could be intimidated by having to study hard and go through all of this literature related to their profession or their choice.
yeah,
of
I completely
profession.
understand that too, and that's me as well, because in school I was useless. Like I'm not somebody who can read a textbook and learn it. I have to be hands-on and practicing it constantly. That's the only way I remember things. That's the only way I learn things.
Right.
I think a lot of people relate to that as well. So with this course, what I would do is I would write down everything I would read in note form, which took forever. And I'm left-handed too, right?
Oh, I
so
see.
everything I wrote down, like my hand would just be covered in ink at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So it was painstaking, but like writing down everything I'm reading, but that's the only way I could remember and take in what I was learning. So that's something, if you're struggling with reading or having to read something off a textbook, off the internet, if that intimidates you, try writing it down as you're reading it. Takes a little bit more work, but it's sort of a tool I've used over the years to help me learn how to do things.
Right. Yeah. Everybody has their way. Right?
Exactly.
Everyone has their own tips, tricks, and to help them retain certain information, or organizing this information inside your head, let alone your notebook, is certainly a task of its own. And for you to take notes in point form after reading through this large amount of information, you've seemingly cracked the code.
Well, I do my best, and I'm definitely not the first one to say it, but definitely writing everything down was not awesome, but the end result is very awesome.
Yes, of course. Right. Well, again, congratulations. I know it's been a little while since you received that license, but you've been well on your way, and I see you posting videos constantly showcasing different homes online. And considering I'm talking about you showcasing properties and whatnot, why don't you tell us a little bit about how social media plays into being a realtor and just how big of a part social media actually plays?
That's a fantastic question, an awesome question.
Awesome indeed.
So social media, everyone is on social media these days. It's the way that the world is going. And I know in real estate, there's a lot of very traditional agents who don't hate social media, but don't have a huge social media presence. And to each their own, right? In my opinion, I think social media is huge. What I do personally is I blend social media with traditional ideas, so to speak. And I'll get into that in a minute.
Right.
But to answer your question, yes, social media is huge in real estate. It's all about getting your name out there. It's starting a business, right? As a real estate agent, you are an independent contractor. You're employed by a brokerage, but you're not paid by the brokerage, right? It's a 100% commission-based job. So you're not going to work for 8 hours, punching a clock and getting a salary. Like, it's all on you to build your brand, to market yourself,
Right.
to get clients, to find clients, to work with them. It's all on you. So social media is fantastic for getting your name out there. You can run ads, so you can put money into it, but for the most part, it's a free way to market yourself. And just by focusing on one or two platforms, I know myself, I focus on Instagram, I focus on Facebook, and I've recently got into TikTok because the organic reach on TikTok is huge right now.
Right.
Reels are everything. But if you focus an hour a day on posting content to Instagram or Facebook, you can cross-post. So if you post on Instagram, it'll cross-post to Facebook automatically.
Yeah, meta.
Exactly,
suppose, right?
exactly. Yeah. So if you can set aside an hour a day, half an hour a day to post, it just makes you have that online presence to grow your reach. That way somebody in Toronto who might be looking to buy a place in Calgary and relocate, which we're seeing weekly in Calgary, they can see you on Instagram and reach out to you that way. And it's something where I think is overlooked by a lot of agents, but I think a lot of the younger agents are starting to see the potential of it. So yeah, social media is huge in real estate.
Yeah, of course. I felt as if that may have been, I guess, a question, I guess, that maybe wasn't worth asking, only because the answer is obvious, in my opinion, and maybe to some of our viewers as well, only because I guess the younger generations more so understand just how integrated social media is in day-to-day life and business and every facet of life, seemingly, for that reason. So, and obviously to utilize social media to benefit your pursuit, whether it be business or personal, even say music, for example, or a band or what have you. I mean, that's an invaluable tool to utilize. And you mentioned spending an hour a day to post material only to help broaden your reach, and not to mention work with the algorithm of these social media platforms. I guess there's certainly a balance that needs to be, made in order to, I guess, play into the favor of the system in a way that will help to throw your business or the name of your business throughout the interwebs, I guess. It's certainly not the easiest thing to learn how to work the most, to the utmost benefit, but uploading consistently and providing content, I guess, that is at least synonymous with whatever you're involved in is certainly extremely important in order for social media to work for you. Rather than
Consistency, you said it. Consistency is 100%. And I mean, with platforms like YouTube, if as long as you're consistent, the algorithm will work in your favor. If one of my associates, he posts on YouTube regularly, and he does house tours. So every week he'll do a house tour. Well, he went on vacation for a month, so he didn't post anything for a month, and then he got sick. So it was like 6 weeks he didn't post on YouTube. And the next time he posted, like, his numbers were way down. He got half as many views as he was when he was consistently posting every week. Right. So consistency is huge.
Yeah, and I think of that on a personal level more so because I do intend on starting up another music project, right? And when it comes to sharing that material, having some traffic through my profile beforehand is immensely important, right? So just even though I'm, say, posting non-related material, it's important to, I guess, be consistent with uploading whatever it is before you start to utilize social media as like a real tool for business or for whatever.
It's true. Endeavor. It's true. Quality is important. Like, nobody wants to watch videos that aren't watchable, right? So it's not like it's that old debate. Is it quantity? Is it quality? It's a mix of both. So you want to make sure that it's the best quality you can make. However, don't get hung up on it, because it's 10 times better to post something that's not perfect than trying to make it perfect and not posting.
Right.
Just post. Just
kind of like post. Live streaming a podcast and just like hitting the wrong button and phones are ringing and like, holy crap, what's going on?
And that's what makes it entertaining, right?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to see a scripted show. They want to see phones going off and bells and whistles. So
yeah, exactly.
That's what makes it awesome.
Well, right? At least from what I hear, we started out the episode with a flash of EXP Realty logo rather than my awesome face. But that's okay. Well, that's okay.
I'm still blurry.
I'm still blurry. I'm blurry. Am I actually blurry? I've been blurry this entire time.
Not crazy blur. I can tell it's you.
Well, what can you do about it, I guess? Not a whole lot. That's okay. Let's try one little thing. It'll only take a second. Let's see. Let's see the old taparoo. Let's see how my face
You
right
look
there.
clear when you're up close.
Oh, well, that'll only take a second. Oh, wait. You know what? We should be working this out actually before I start streaming.
It wasn't blurry before you started streaming, surprisingly.
It wasn't, and then it started getting blurry. Well, it's just my ugly face messing with the camera, I think, huh?
Well, I mean, and this was a last minute thing too. So I mean, given the circumstances, I think everything's working out well.
Yeah, as long as you can hear me, as long as you can vaguely recognize my my face.
Your awesome looking
well.
face.
Yeah, no, it's not too bad. Thanks. I'm starting to grow a beard. Been letting it grow out for a little while, but it tends to grow out rather than down.
Yep.
Gets poofy before it starts to hang.
It goes through an awkward phase,
getting
man.
through that phase. That's kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah. Oh, it's a struggle.
Am I still super blurry, Carly?
It's not perfect.
It's not perfect. Well, hey, this podcast isn't perfect. But hey, as I said earlier, it takes at least 51 episodes before things start to improve.
There you go.
And I think considering at the 50th episode, we're doing best that we can. Anyways, right, back on topic. So, social media, a major player for most businesses. Outside of, I suppose, social media owners themselves. But you mentioned something during that description of social media about getting clients, right? And I thought to myself, okay, social media would obviously be a big proponent of gaining clients for yourself as a real estate agent. So I thought, why don't you elaborate a little bit more on what that would entail? On I guess if you have your own formula, or I guess what kind of effort goes into finding clients, or the right clients, dare I say?
So when when you're starting out in real estate, every client is right. You don't turn down clients, right?
Yeah,
You never say no.
Yeah.
And I mean, I mean, as time goes on, I'm sure some people get picky. I don't see why that would help you. But so social media is huge. Like I said, I do mix a little bit of traditional prospecting methods to get clients. I mix it with social media. So it's a very interesting time to be an agent or an entrepreneur, or like just starting a business in general, right? And trying to find work, trying to get work. If you're not having, all your friends and family buy your product or tons of referrals, the question is, how do you get clients? Right now, we have social media at our fingertips where everybody is scrolling hours a day. Now, the problem is that everybody's using it, so everybody's posting on it. So how do you get things that catch people's attention, right? So a lot of agents get hung up on trying to do too many things with not enough consistency for a short period of time. That's like, where do I start? YouTube? Do I go to LinkedIn? Do I go to TikTok? Oh, there's so much. They get overwhelmed. They don't know what to do. So what I would recommend to people, if you're starting out in business, this is real estate or starting a business in general, is pick 2 platforms like Instagram or Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Google, running Google ads. Pick 2 and post on them every day, right? That's what I do. I post on my Instagram stories every day. Doesn't matter what it is. Most of the times it's real estate specific, but last night I got a haircut, so I posted that on my stories too.
I saw that was an awesome haircut.
Right?
You looked extremely pretty.
Thank you.
Yes.
I feel majestic and awesome.
Yeah. I've been through that ringer myself a couple times, and I can't. It's relaxing, no doubt about it.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Shout out to Leah Williams at Copper Fox Studios. She's amazing.
Right on.
So yeah, just everything can be posted because people want to follow your journey, right? They want to see your brand. They want to see your business. So keep it like 80% business related. Whatever you post on Facebook or YouTube, 80% business related so that people know what you do. But they also want to see that you're human too. So, I mean, don't film yourself doing keg stands on the weekend. They don't want to see that.
It's a different
keep it somewhat professional. But if you go out for date night with your wife or your girlfriend or whatever, take a picture of the menu, take a picture of the restaurant, take a selfie. Like, just people want to see the journey, right? They want to connect with you. And that's the big thing of starting a business and trying to get clients, is they want to connect with you. That's the main thing. Like, okay, they like your product, but they're not sure of the price. You can negotiate the price. They want to connect with you. That's the main thing.
Right. It's important to be personable.
So 100%
Right.
and form that trust. And they want to see that by seeing you're professional, but also that you're human too, right?
Yeah, of course. That reminds me of Michael Payne, the owner of No Payne, and if you follow any of our social media accounts, there's a lot of memes. There's a lot of
love the memes.
Just like,
love the memes.
It's really obviously work related. There's we showcase different contractors, different employees from the company, and then throw a meme in there, right? Throw this in there and that in there.
Exactly.
And I think that's a great way to kind of just, I guess, alleviate the business, the boredom of constant business content, I suppose.
100%.
But throwing relevant memes and whatnot in there.
Exactly, because people want to see that you're not a robot, that you're not a machine. They want to see that you're professional, but they want to know that you're a human too, right?
Yeah, well, that's also part of the reason why starting up a podcast was important to us. That would obviously give a face to the name in a way. Not my face per se, but considering I'm on camera a lot, I guess just, allowing for the audience, or I guess those interested in potentially hiring No Payne, to see that we are not robots, as you said. But
exactly.
that, we are personable, right? And we take interests in other things. And I guess, creating that relationship with the audience or with potential clientele is extremely important. I think podcast is a great way to do that.
I 100% agree.
And when I say, I mean, not being too hell-bent on business-related content. Like, we've had spiritual healers on the podcast.
Yeah.
We've had local band promoters on the podcast.
Yeah.
We've had like quite a few different, or a wide variety of business owners and entrepreneurs on the podcast. And it's only worked into our favor and to the favor of those who have chosen to be guests as well. So
Well, exactly.
part of the reason why I reached out to you as well. I thought, hey, this would be beneficial or mutually beneficial. So.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again for having me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But so with social media, it's one thing, right? Like there's a lot of agents I work with who are primarily on social media. So it is a great way to get clients, and a lot of people go all in on social media, and it works for them. Now, what I do is I do a mix of both. So I also host open houses on the weekend. That's how I meet buyer clients or the neighbors who want to come in, see kind of what their neighbor's house looks like. So it gives them an idea of what their house is worth.
Everybody's curious.
Exactly.
So what's their neighbor's house?
Every open house, the neighbors always come in, and they're
Yeah.
welcome because, I mean, it's more people. The more the merrier,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, but yeah, the neighbors always come in, and if there was an open house across the street from me, I would go in too because that's human nature. We're curious.
Yeah, of course.
So every weekend I host open houses as well. Saturday and Sunday, 6 hours, like 3 hours each day, plus an hour a day on social media. And then I also do Monday to Friday, 1 hour of door knocking in the afternoon, which is when you're starting out and you're knocking on people's doors and you're like, I am a local realtor. The first response you get is, I'm not selling my house, slam.
Right.
So it can be intimidating too. That's why a lot of agents like to stick to social media, which works. But if you really want results, mix the traditional things, cold calling, door knocking, open houses, mix it with social media, combine best of both worlds. That's what I found to be super effective, and be consistent with both. So what I do say when I go door knocking is the first thing I say, after I introduce myself, hey, I'm Jessie with eXp Realty, local realtor. I'm not trying to get you to sell your house, I promise.
Yeah.
What I am doing is offering a free home evaluation. That way you know exactly what your home is worth. Would that be of value to you? And that kind of catches them off guard. They're like, okay, he's not asking me to sell my house. He's offering me something for free. And then they go like, what's the catch? And I go, nothing. If you give me your name, your email address, phone number, whatever you're comfortable with, I'll do a free evaluation. You get the numbers, no obligations. And I've gotten a lot of clients that way.
Yeah, and I guess cold calling, or I guess this might be easier to do in person from going door to door. But obviously you've found a way to actually have that work in your favor rather than against you. Because I know a lot of people you'd see no soliciting, no peddlers, have you.
I don't knock on those
so,
doors.
Yeah, of course.
That's asking for trouble.
You just hear a little behind the door.
Exactly.
But I guess this approach that you've fabricated for those, for that approach is seemingly beneficial and worthwhile, considering, as you said, you're offering a service at no charge to the owner. You're obviously getting them interested in real estate to an extent, and if they are interested in selling, then you'd know who the first person they would go to, right?
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
yeah.
And there's a statistic, something like 70% of people who work with a realtor, they work with the first realtor that they meet face to face. So, I mean, it's not everybody. And I mean, especially like the first month I went door knocking, like I was so nervous. I didn't have a script dialed in. I didn't have much experience. I'd run up, knock on their door, go, hi, my name's Jessie Limbeck with eXp Realty. How are you doing today? Would you like to sell your house?
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't know what you're doing. Get off my property.
Yeah.
But as time goes on, you do it more, you refine it, you get more comfortable, and you get more relaxed. And the other thing to focus on is, and this goes to any business you're starting, is never focus on the money first. You focus on putting in the work, focus on getting as experienced as you possibly can, and the money will follow that. So I find, I mean, a lot of people, I don't know if this is true for everyone, but who focus on the money first thing, like I'm not making money off this, I'm not going to do it, they're the people who fail long term. If you focus on just doing the right things consistently every day, the money will follow. And that's relatable to any industry.
Of course, they say, you follow your dreams and, the money will come eventually.
Exactly.
That mindset, it's important to have. I mean, it's an optimistic versus pessimistic point of view.
100%.
Right? And that can certainly be very helpful in the long term, in the short term as well. So
Absolutely,
I
absolutely. Especially in a very rejection-heavy industry like real estate. I mean, you're not asking people to sell their homes, but you're kind of asking them to sell their home. You're like, I'm going to give you a number, and then I really want you to sell your home.
Yeah.
So it's a very rejection-heavy industry. So if you don't have a positive mindset, if you don't have positive affirmations or a system that gets you thinking right, it's going to be a hard road for you.
Yeah, of course. No, I could relate in a sense to some of the things you said when you mentioned people generally go for the first real estate agent that they meet face to face.
Mm-hmm.
Same goes for, say, Calgary roof repair as well. They've had quotes over the phone. They've had people throw numbers at them, but we tell them, okay, we'll come by with one of our service technicians, do an inspection, issue estimates afterwards. There is an inspection charge, but if you choose to move forward with any of the estimates, the inspection charge is waived. But we come to site, we take photos, we can very easily describe to them the issues that we're seeing and what's necessary to fix. Most of the time discovering other inadequacies or other items worth repairing. And for that reason, we usually are the company that they move forward with, considering we came to them and was very able to actually diagnose the issue and show them clearly what the issue was. So
Exactly.
we can, it's relatable in that
100%,
sense.
100%, man. It's all about providing value. Like, you're asking people for their business. No matter what that business is, you're asking people to trust you, to use your service, and you're asking for their business. And if you're not providing value for them, they have no reason to use you. So that's the number one thing. I mean, I'm sure I've said number one a few times, but that's a very important thing, is provide value.
Of course. Right. I remember today, or back in the day, when we also as a team at No Payne were going door to door as well with free evaluations and giving them ballparks on what a roof repair or roof replacement would cost and things like that. And we have actually gotten quite a few clients out of that as well, because we were able to give them an on-the-spot estimate, which most people don't typically get, nor would they typically reach out for unless they were their roof was in extremely poor condition. But these traditional approaches that you've been explaining, I do have some experience with, and I can attest to their functionality and just how important they are to utilize alongside social media, like you said.
Exactly. I mean, social media is so easy to use. I mean, I use that pretty freely because for an older generation who didn't grow up with it, I can see how it'd be intimidating, right? So I get that. It's so accessible that it's like, why wouldn't you do it? If you're starting out in a business, if you're already established and you're happy with where you are and you're good, then okay, that's fair. It's your business, it's your life, it's your journey. Do what you want to do. But if you're hungry and driven and want a new lead source, a new client source, a new way to connect with people, new way to get your content out there, I mean, social media, why not? Why not do it, right?
Yeah, of course. It's a free resource. And I mean, you can spend a few extra bucks here and there as well to help advertise a product or a business. And
I mean, you can set a budget and put as much money into it as you want. Or you can post a reel to TikTok that ends up going viral and you've got millions of views.
Yeah,
like I posted a reel to Facebook of just a 30-second clip of a house, just a kitchen with a beautiful quartz countertop. I mean, it was gorgeous. 30 seconds, put some music to it. It has something like 200,000 views, and I paid $0 for that. So, I mean, I just shot it on my phone, put it up to Facebook, and I mean, 200,000 views. I mean, it's huge for free. Now, again, you mix that with traditional approaches, because traditional approaches are traditional because they work. They've been around a while, they work, like door knocking or open houses or cold calling. And yeah, you're off to the races.
Yeah, of course. Well, it's been quite a lot of you've provided quite a bit of insight, some of which some of the other realtors haven't, and so I'm happy for that.
Yeah, I wanted to give a new approach, because we could talk about like what the market's doing, what the real estate market's doing in 2023. We could sit here and talk about that for hours, but I wanted to give a new approach, right? I wanted to give a different perspective of sort of somebody who's started out in real estate, started out a journey, started out a new career, and sort of humanize it a little bit, right?
Of course, yeah.
Because people look at realtors and they just see a suit or a face or a haircut or whatever, and it's like, no, we're just people too, right? Like I want to give people I want to make us more approachable, is what I want to do. I want to drop this whole like stuffy realtor thing and just make us more approachable to people. And I think giving a more in-depth insight, just sort of on my journey and my thoughts, kind of gives that to people.
Of course, you made the right choice, I think, to be involved here. And this might only be the first episode, but we would certainly like to have you back in the future, no doubt about it. We do have recurring guests and whatnot, and there's always new topics or new insights. Fresh market analysis and whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. As you were speaking earlier, I thought of a feasible question that might be of some use to the viewers and myself. You mentioned giving free home evaluations on the spot.
Yeah.
I was curious as to what that might pertain to, or if you could quickly break down some of the things you might look at in order to evaluate the worth of a home financially.
For sure. So there's a few things. The first thing is the market conditions, current market conditions usually dictate what someone's home is worth. Granted, someone's home is only worth what somebody's willing to pay for it. So there's kind of two sides to that. And everyone thinks their home is the most valuable, which most of the times it is. Sometimes we have to coach our clients into, okay, maybe you have some unrealistic expectations. So what I do to determine the value of somebody's home is I'll either take a quick tour of it to get an idea of what it's like, what condition it's in, if they've done any renovations, updates, if they have a finished basement, a garage. I take all of those factors into consideration: the age of the home, the size of the yard, the square footage, the bedrooms, the bathrooms, all those sort of things. And then I'll run a comparison of similar properties that have sold. And I can go back as far as 6, 8 months, even 12 months, and equate or sort of calculate and adjust for time using an algorithm that I have from the Calgary Real Estate Board. So I use different sold comparable homes to sort of place where their home would be, and then I look at what's active in their price range. So I come up with a base number based on what's recently sold, adjust for time, and then I sort of see where I would competitively place it based on what's active in the market. So that's sort of my process. Now, when I'm explaining that to somebody, I like to give more of a presentation, but that's the basics.
Course,
that's the basics of it, right?
Right. I wonder about how much the current condition of the roof itself might play into that, considering No Payne Roofing. Is that something you're able to factor in on the spot, or I mean that would require some understanding of
usually
roof systems? But
yeah, like I'm not a roofer. I don't
can
want to.
tell you're wearing a sharp.
I mean, my back,
tuxedo.
you'd swear I was a roofer. I mean, I spent 10 years in oil and gas, so my body feels like a roofer's body. But no, I'm definitely not. So I don't give estimates on roofs. What I do is if the roof does need to be replaced, I'll sort of factor that in slightly. I mean, when we're talking about, let's say, a $500,000 home and the roof needs to be done, I'll talk with my seller client and I'll sort of run the scenario by them. If they want to get an estimate done to see if they want to replace the roof before listing, that's always the best idea.
Of course.
However, if they're not in a financial position to do that, I do adjust a little bit, but not as much. You don't put it in the description, needs new roof. You don't put that in.
Yeah.
Usually it comes up in the property inspection. But for something like a roof, I wouldn't adjust too much unless it becomes a big deal, which in my previous experience, there was a house that needed a roof done, and I could have swore that this house was going to need the roof done, like for sure. Like, you need to get this roof done. It's not going to sell. Sure enough, it sold in 7 days with the old roof. So it just goes to show some people, a home is worth what somebody's willing to pay for it.
Right.
And that goes for features too, including the roof. If somebody's willing to buy a home and put the money into the roof, I mean, that's up to them. So I don't factor in the roof cost to the evaluation.
Right, because I mean, considering you could look at between $10,000-$15,000 for a roof replacement.
Exactly.
A roof replacement that would use modern materials and, like, say, full synthetic underlayments and upgraded exhaust vents, things like that. It's a sizable amount of money. So I was curious as to how much that would play into an evaluation. You mentioned home inspectors, how they would essentially throw their 2 cents in about the roof itself and whatever lies in the attic during their inspections. But I have been called upon many, many times in order to do third-party inspections of the roof and the attic space, because a lot of times the home inspectors have either overlooked certain things or have misdiagnosed certain issues with the roof or the attic. And I don't knock them for that, because as a home inspector, I would assume they have hundreds of points of inspection.
Mm-hmm.
And for that reason, I find I'm not alarmed by the fact that they might overlook certain things about the roof or what have you. I guess what I'm saying is that it would be wise to consider third-party inspections in some areas. The roof, maybe in particular, considering home inspectors have so many things to look at. Everybody, well, they're only human, of course. And I mean,
Exactly.
yeah. And so as far as how much the roof plays into a sale of the property, I mean, having third-party inspections done just to be more certain of the current condition might also be something to consider.
Absolutely, absolutely too. And I mean, now, 6 months ago, when the Calgary market was red hot, like absolutely red hot, and you're getting 10 different bids on a property, you're getting offers that are unconditional, so no financing condition, no property inspection, nothing. That would have been hard. That would have been really hard to pull off. However, now we're seeing more balanced conditions. Some parts. All right, so I'm gonna get a little deep into the market
No,
here.
it's okay. Give it to
So,
us.
Calgary in general has a market, right? Now, Calgary market is worlds different from Toronto, worlds different from Vancouver. Now, the media only talks about Vancouver and Toronto, and they talk about the rest of Canada. However, Calgary has its own market going on, and it's still fairly strong. It's still a fairly strong market. The city of Calgary, I mean, a home price in Calgary is still up 13% from where it was last year. So they've come down a little bit, but it's still up. Now, each community has its own sort of mini market happening, where some areas of the city are more balanced market conditions. Some areas of the city, like Auburn Bay or Copperfield, are still showing slight seller market conditions. So that's just a little FYI. It's like, it's not just grouped in as a seller's market or a buyer's market or a balanced market. It really depends where you're looking. And Calgary's more balanced in general, but there are communities which are seller. Now, to go back to which point we were speaking on, the third-party inspections
Right.
for roofs. So now we're starting to see not red-hot seller conditions, more balanced markets. So now what you're saying would actually make sense. Now we have the ability to do that because offers are being accepted with property inspection conditions where you could bring a property inspector in and you don't have to worry about being outbid by somebody else because we're not seeing those as much. So to have now a third party come in, that's more than reasonable and actually a great idea.
Right. Well, I only say that because of the experience I've had with clients requesting third-party inspectors primarily for the roof itself because they say, oh, the home inspector passed the roof with flying colors, but
Yeah.
I've been up there and I find an imbalance in ventilation, or I've even found blown-off shingles at one point as
Yeah.
well. Not everybody is comfortable with heights, and I mean, as a home inspector, as some use drones, for example, and
Yeah.
things, and it's hard to
Yeah.
see intricate detail with drones. I mean, I want to make it clear, I'm not trying to knock home
No,
inspectors,
no, for
right?
sure,
I'm
for sure.
only speaking from experience in how difficult it must be to inspect an entire property,
Exactly.
and how easy it would be to overlook small things or
100%.
specific things. And with the roof being out of sight, out of mind, it's certainly a challenge of its own to do a
And
proper inspection there.
It's a good thing that you brought that up because I think that's something that I'm going to now recommend now that the market isn't insane like it was 6 months ago. That's something I might bring up to my clients is that, if you have concerns about the roof or you're not satisfied with the property inspection report, get a roofer in. Get somebody like yourself. Get your company in there to take a look.
Right.
I think that's a
indeed.
great idea.
For anybody interested, our inspection rates are $145 plus GST.
There
for
you
your
go.
standard inspection, we can do comprehensive inspections for $325 plus GST, and we will send along with it a PDF form that is extremely detailed and has photos of everything. So there are options in terms of the inspection, but it is certainly worthwhile because, again, home inspectors have so many different things to look at, and
Yeah.
of course they can give you detail to a degree of what they're finding on the roof, but whether or not they are well versed in manufacturer installation specs, right? Whether or not they can detect poor or great workmanship and things like that, obviously I'm just kind of tooting our own horn a little bit with
Oh, absolutely.
how important it is to
It's
have.
your podcast. I'd be shocked if you didn't.
Well, I'm not saying you have to hire No Payne Roofing, but
But it's highly recommended.
The point is, definitely take a good look at the roof before buying a home because, again, some clients during inspections, I'm primarily an inspector nowadays, and they are concerned because of the report that they got, and of course I found things that, if not addressed or repaired soon, can certainly cause issues down the road, or at very least next winter season, right? I've found lots of leak potential, this and that, but Yeah, it's certainly something to look at. And not only the roof inspection, we would simultaneously do an attic inspection as well, because you can see all these roof vents and all these other accessories on the roof, but whether or not the exhaust HVAC systems for your bath fan, for example, whether or not that is actually connected to the exhaust port on the roof or not is extremely important to
and that's
verify.
something I would have no idea. So
Yeah, exactly.
see, learning things left and right here.
Well,
this
of course.
This is the right podcast to be in.
Yeah, a bathroom fan has either a hard pipe or an insulated flex hose attached to the fan and then connected to the gooseneck or exhaust port. And when that fan is running, if it's not an airtight system or if it's less than airtight, a lot of humid, warm air from the bathroom is escaping into the attic space. When we have sub-zero temperatures, we could have a lot of frost and ice building in the attic. Of course, that would all melt come a Chinook or spring, and then you have a huge stain in your ceiling. Sometimes you don't get that stain for a long time because the insulation can absorb so much water.
Yeah.
But point being, a lot of property damage, right,
Exactly.
in the process, delaminating the plywood, a lot of black mold I detect all the time during an inspection, and
Very not awesome things.
very, very not awesome things, as you said. And yeah, point in case. Have your roof inspected, get an attic inspection before buying or selling, because you never know.
Highly recommend it.
Certainly, yeah.
Definitely highly recommend it. That's good to know. That's good to know too. Because I mean, a lot of the times we've just been satisfied with property inspection reports, right? So it's nice to know that a roofing company will come out and do their separate like inspection on the roof, which is awesome.
Of course. And I mentioned different levels of inspection. Just our standard inspection. Essentially, I would of course be taking photos of everything, but before I go, I would be going through these photos with the client, explaining everything that I've found. I would be sending all of these photos to them via text, technically or normally, and then I would be sending estimates for repairs or things that need to be addressed. That versus the comprehensive report, which would be PDF format, essentially more of a professional comprehensive report style, which would be great to use in, you say, if you were selling the home or if you needed a more professional approach to it. So there are different levels that you
that's
could
fantastic.
attain.
And at the end of the day, it's all about just, if you have the slightest suspicion that something might be wrong, get a professional to look at it.
Certainly, yeah.
It helps you sleep at night. It could save you thousands in the future, tens of thousands. It could save you a nightmare situation. So
Of course. Well, this doesn't only go for the roof, of course, in the attic space. Like we've had other furnace installation companies, or like we've had a wide variety. I forget now how many, but a wide variety of different local businesses and a furnace tech as well. I mean, a home inspector, of course, could inspect everything to a degree. I mean, every home inspector would be more specialized in different areas. But say, this is just off the top of my head, but your furnace, for example, I feel like personally it would be wise to have that looked at as well, just to be sure that there is no, say, carbon monoxide poisoning potential, or if that is running effectively.
Especially if you're buying a home in the fall, like around this time, like check your furnaces.
Yeah, you'll be running that thing
As soon as you take possession of your house, and like if everything's checked out, you're happy with the property inspection, you're happy with the roof, you're happy with everything, you sign off on the deal, it's your house, you take possession, get an HVAC person in there and get all the maintenance done on the furnace. I think it's like a couple $100 to get just a routine checkup done on your furnace. Especially the last thing you want is to go into February when it's minus 30 and to have your furnace fail in your brand new home. Like, so spend the couple $100 and get it maintained, get it maintained.
I'm thinking of another thing now, actually, based on a podcast we hosted, Great West Radon. Carly, could you maybe look that up quickly?
Radon,
Yeah, radon. So it was a while ago when we ran this podcast, but essentially the Calgary area has high amounts of radon deposits in its strata, I suppose. And some properties throughout the city have like elevated amounts of radon that is detectable.
Interesting.
Which I can't remember exactly in which ways it's extremely negative, but it can be, I'm sorry?
It's just toxic.
It's toxic. It can help to deteriorate. It deteriorates certain materials that would pertain to the building itself, and it can be detrimental to health and whatnot as well. So I'm only remembering this because if you were to purchase a new property, you could hire, I believe it's Great West Radon or Out West. I apologize for misremembering the name of the company. We've had so many companies through here, but they would do on-site radon testing to see what levels of radon you have on this plot of land.
Yeah.
And whether or not that could be detrimental to your health or to the building itself. So another category of inspection that could also be done.
Absolutely.
I'm going to have to look at that quickly.
And I
as
do
soon as we're done
know
here, but
I
yeah.
do know some property inspectors who do a broad radon sweep. I don't know how specialized they are in it, but I mean, yeah, definitely. If you want to get a third party out there again who specializes in it, I mean, do it.
Right.
If it's going to help you sleep at night, just do it.
Of course, I can't remember the exact details, but it was a health concern,
Yeah.
elevated levels.
It doesn't
and,
sound awesome. It's not an awesome thing.
Yeah, there were some ailments that people have experienced, and they weren't sure what was causing it. Turns out they had through the roof radon levels at this property because of just where the building was located.
Yeah, and if you would have spent, I don't know what they would charge. I'm
I
just
can't
going
remember-
to throw
yeah,
a
I'm
number.
not
If you
sure.
spend $300 on somebody to come out and do a test, $500, whatever. I mean, it's worth it. It's your home. It's where you live. It's
Yeah,
where
of
you
course,
go at
yeah.
the end of a crappy day. You go home. That's your sanctuary, right? Anything you put into it, it's your little nest. So I mean, why not spend the money and get it checked out?
Yeah, of course. I just again thought of another thing. The furnace is one thing, but now say all of the duct work
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether or not you have 4 inches worth of who knows
And
what.
when I'm taking a buyer through different showings of homes, they hit me with all these questions too. And there's a laundry list of things that you can look at a
Of
home
course,
too.
and I'm just going off on things.
It's funny because you have the exact same thought process
Right.
as some of my buyer clients. Because as they're walking through, they're like, oh god, and radon, and oh, what's the furnace and what's the roof, and it's like, hey, these are things you need to look at. This is good.
Yeah,
Now
of
we're
course.
thinking.
Yeah.
Because
Not
I mean, a lot of
everybody-
people walk through and they go, yeah, we like the counters, we like the floor, we'll take it. And it's like, well, you don't want to look at the furnace. It's kind of important, right? So
Yeah. Of
that's
course.
another way to provide value too, is know what to look for.
Of course. Yeah. Of course, I could continue to think of.
There's lots.
Points of inspection.
There's lots.
There are lots. I'm
Is
just
this
kinda-
is this in a flood zone? Is this in a floodway? Has it been flooded?
Yeah.
Is there basement damage? Is there mold? Like there's a lot.
local wildlife? There's
Exactly.
a lot of coyotes running around right now.
Oh, there's
around
lots.
my
There's
place,
lots,
and I
yeah.
have an outdoor cat, and
Yeah.
a laundry list of things, as you said.
yes, there is, and I mean that's why as a real estate agent, we're always looking out for a client's best interests, right? That's why it makes sense to hire one as somebody buying a house or selling a house, because the agents know the laws. They know what to look for. We do this for a living. We know what conditions to put into a contract to protect you, so that if you do find something in the property inspection, you can back out of the sale and not lose your deposit because it's in the contract, right? So this is why it makes sense to hire a realtor. Or if you're a buyer, 90% of the time, you don't even pay real estate fees. And a lot of people don't know that. If you're a buyer, if you're wanting to buy a home and you want to use a real estate agent, like, you don't pay the fees 90% of the time, unless it's a for sale by owner or the seller isn't for some weird reason wanting to pay the commission or the realtor fees, which I've never seen.
Right.
As a buyer, you don't pay fees. You pay for the home inspection or anything else you want to get done, and you pay for closing costs. That's all you pay for.
Interesting. That's not something I knew until now, and I certainly do see myself purchasing a home for Carly and I, hopefully within the next year or two.
Yeah,
So,
I definitely know a guy.
Yeah, no, I feel like I've met him. I feel like I've met him once or twice.
He may or may not be in the room. He's definitely awesome, though.
He's awesome, and he's
With no ego whatsoever, I swear.
No, I can't detect. I can't detect one. I can't detect it.
I'm not being serious at all.
Being acquainted with real estate agents, luckily, is a perk of running the podcast, and there have been a few, and you've been another, and I certainly have a list of people I'd have to consider. Considering the history that we have in the music scene, which is something we can talk about later on, certainly makes me feel inclined to reach out to you. And some of the information I've learned from you thus far has helped to persuade, I guess, my choice in which direction I might
Thank
lean.
you. I'm
But-
honored. I don't want to persuade anybody, but I definitely want to guide. I'm like
Right.
real estate agents are like a guide, a shaman of buying a home, right? Like we guide you to make the right choices and the right decisions. We don't persuade, we guide.
Right. Right. I thought of another question, actually, just a moment ago. I was hoping you could maybe describe to myself, along with the viewers, what you should be looking for in a real estate agent, just to be sure that they aren't, say, out to get you or shady. I guess if there are any factors that you could describe to us that you should look out for when choosing a real estate agent, or if there are certain things you should be on the lookout for?
I think first and foremost, communication. Communication is key. If you meet somebody and they're, let's say you meet them off social media, right? You see them on Instagram. They're always doing property tours. They seem very active and trustworthy. And so you send them a message and, it's like, hey, I want to meet for coffee. I'm looking to buy a house. And they reach out back to you and say, yeah, let's set up a time. And then you don't hear from them for a couple of times, or they blow you off, or they don't respond to your calls, or they don't respond to your texts. That's a red flag.
Yeah.
If they're always running late, that's a big thing too. For me, that's my thing because I hate being late. Sometimes it's understandable, but usually that's a red flag too. Real estate agents, we're always busy. We're always going from appointment to appointment. But if you're going to be late, that's a red flag to me. So
well,
that's something to keep in
communication
mind.
plays into that quite a bit.
Exactly.
Of course,
exactly.
I'm going to be late.
If something comes up, which emergencies happen all the time, a quick call or a text saying, hey, I'm going to be 15 minutes late, that's cool. But if you're not hearing from them, if you're just getting a bad vibe, humans have a really good way to perceive vibes. Whether you believe in spirituality or vibes or whatever, we have a good sense of how we're going to trust somebody. And there's a study that says we usually decide whether to trust somebody or not within the first 2 seconds. So, there's a lot to be said about that. But just certain things, if they're running late all the time, if they're not getting back to you, if they're always on their phone when they're with you, they're not giving you their undivided attention, that's a huge thing too, right? It's like, I always treat people how I want to be treated, right? Like a real estate agent's job is to work for you. We're there to make sure you get the best home you possibly can and you're looked after. If we're not engaged with you, if we're late all the time, we're not keeping you updated, we take a week to get back to your text message, those are things to avoid. Not knocking anybody out there, but if that's you, sharpen up.
Yeah, no, those are all extremely important things. And I guess I can also relate because of the role that I play with inspections and small repairs and things like that. Client communication can resolve a lot of those issues.
100%.
Of course, if you're running behind, or if you might even be, say, an hour or 2 hours behind schedule, the moment that you can contact the client and let them know, it will alleviate almost all potential for them to be
People are
distraught.
very understanding creatures. We all just want to be heard or explained to, right? If you're running late, call me. I'm going to be like, it's all good.
Yeah.
We can make it work.
Yeah.
If I don't hear from you and I'm looking at my watch, it's like, okay, well, he's supposed to be here 25 minutes ago. Where is this guy? That's a bad impression, right?
Of course, communication is key.
Absolutely.
And I think, a lot of what you said kind of boils down to the importance of communication. But
yes.
Communication doesn't fix a bad vibe, right?
That's
and
true,
I can definitely relate, and just how quickly you can tell. You can't really put your finger on how you can tell, but
It's
you can
true.
tell, right?
It's true, and
that's where the sixth sense comes in.
Nobody wants to be judgmental, right? Nobody's ever says, hey, I'm a judgy person, right? We all try to be as least judgmental as we can, but we still have this 10,000-year-old DNA, these 100,000-year-old brains from the caveman days, where it's like we need to determine who to trust and who to avoid quick, otherwise we die.
Yeah.
We still haven't evolved out of that, right? So that's why unconsciously or subconsciously, we can still pick up bad vibes from people, whether they're warranted or not. Sometimes we just don't feel right.
Right.
And that's a big thing too. People need to trust themselves.
Of course, yeah. Whether or not you believe in auras or not.
Yes, exactly.
You gotta at least keep an open mind.
Exactly.
Even if you don't believe in it, you'd be lying if you say you haven't experienced that sort of interaction.
No, exactly,
before,
exactly.
right?
You just get a bad vibe from somebody, right? It might have been something they said, which is obvious, or it might have been something. I think there's another study that 70% of everything we pick up is nonverbal. Like it's about body language too. They might have moved a way you don't like, and it sounds really shallow and crappy, but it's how it is. And trust yourself
that's
too,
right?
right?
A fact of life.
Yeah.
Indisputably.
I'm not trying to push like healing crystals or anything like that, but
No, but if you know any crystal healing distributors, tell them about the No Payne podcast.
Yes,
because
there you
we'd love
go.
to have them.
There
right?
you go.
That'd
And
be great. Of course, also acquaintances of yours or fellow real estate agents, let them know we're always looking for guests. Of course, promoting local businesses is the name of this game. And
absolutely.
of course, always looking for podcast guests.
Absolutely. And nothing against healing crystals. Nothing against anything like that.
No, not at all. No,
That's,
of course.
that's not what I'm getting at either.
You look at ancient civilizations and just how large a part certain stones and certain physical objects played into their culture and into their religion and healing cannot be completely disregarded, considering
No, exactly.
history and what we've learned.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when picking a real estate agent, I mean, just trust yourself. If
Yeah, of
you're
course.
getting a bad vibe from them and they're late and they're not giving you the time of day, there's 5,000 real estate agents in Calgary. Go find one that matches with you. They're out there.
Yeah,
We exist.
yeah. It's like dating. It's like dating. you know?
Exactly. You don't have to pick one because they're your friend. You don't have to pick one because they were referred to you. Like, just go with who you're comfortable with. If they know their stuff and you like them and everything's good, go with them.
Right. Yep. Good words.
Trust yourself. That's all.
words.
Trust yourself.
I appreciate your insight. It's been fantastic talking to you, and I think we've come to the point in time where I will start to get to know you on a more personal level, not only for myself but for the viewers as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Considering being personable and being transparent is important in terms of finding clientele. I thought the more they know you, the better chances you'd have at them reaching out to you for your services.
Absolutely.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about what gets you going outside of real estate? Some
Well,
personal hobbies, interests.
First and foremost, music. I
Yes,
mean, music.
sir.
I've that's where we met, is the
Yeah.
local Calgary music scene. I mean, I've been playing guitar for 18 years, 19 years, something like that. So
Yeah, the
music.
bullseye Les Paul.
Exactly,
Yeah, dude.
exactly. Like that was a huge identity for me for a long time. Still is. I mean, on the weekends I'll still enjoy all kinds of music, not just classic rock or heavy metal or death metal or anything like that, which I do love, but also classical and blues and jazz and even some country. Like, it's just music. Music
course.
to me is everything. If there was no music in this world, man, I would be so distraught. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't know what to do with myself. I mean, I'd probably still sell real estate, but I wouldn't be as stoked about it as like driving around to different homes and listening to music. Music is number one.
Of course, it resonates with people in a way that's indescribable. You know?
Exactly.
It's
exactly.
it's really hard to put a finger on it, and a true musician has appreciation for all styles. Of course, you have favorites. Of course, you're more prone to listening to certain types of music, but I'd rather sit there and listen to like the worst top 40 pop song than nothing at all.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
That kind of thing. And
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not one to judge like based on genres or anything. Like, there's even like a Billie Eilish song that I like too. Like, I'm not biased. I
Right.
like what I like.
it's all melodies, right? Melodies. And
It's what you
melody
can
and
connect to.
music, Yeah.
Yeah, it's just what you can resonate with, right? And it's just, if you like a certain song, like it. If it doesn't have to be in a certain genre, just like what you like.
Yeah, of course, it's important. It's definitely important. And I guess some communities are biased, or sometimes social media can be a scary place or a less than friendly place.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is social media is still so new in our culture. We haven't really quite adapted on how to use it.
Yeah, what has it been, like 07, 06, 07?
Yeah,
when it
exactly. In
really
the grand
started to pick
scheme
up?
of
Yeah.
human existence, like, social media hasn't been around that long. We're still trying to figure it out. So there can be some keyboard warriors out there, some trolls, some
Yeah.
very unhappy people who like to leave very unhappy comments. And I don't have a way to get past that. Like, I don't know what to say to like help people. Like, ignore them is the best thing I can come up with.
Yeah, I
And
guess
just
so.
realize that anybody who's leaving bad comments or a troll or anything like that, they're just unhappy people in general.
Of course, yeah. I guess what's the golden rule for any successful in anything on the internet? Don't read the comments.
Exactly.
I suppose, right?
Exactly.
I
You
mean,
can read a
it's-
couple.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, don't get too
take
sucked in.
constructive criticism,
Yeah.
but when it's somebody who's like, "Oh, your nose is shaped funny," it's like, well, that's useless. Like, scroll
Yeah, of course.
next. Like,
Oh, that riff sucks, man. You
Yeah.
post a video
like-
playing something.
it's like, okay, well, how do I make it better? It's like, no, it just sucks. It's like, okay, well, that's not constructive. Next. Like,
Right. Well, I'm happy to hear music is still a major part of your life. I know
Yeah.
you've been taking real estate much more seriously, and it's been a center focal point for you for how long would you say?
oh, going on 7 months now.
Right on. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
so I like, I'm 100% like, real estate is my life. Weekends, evenings, mornings, that's what I'm doing. I mean, if you send me a text saying, "Hey, what's my home worth?" Like, I'll be there in 20 minutes. It's my life. Music has always been my main center, but it's sort of taken a back seat, or not even a back seat, a side seat to real estate. Like, I was in a very active band for the past 7 years, a band called Concrete Funeral, who played here in Calgary all the time. And we're on a bit of a break because I've just been focusing so hard on real estate, and whether they're not sure if they were looking for somebody to replace me. Now we're not really sure. Like, so it's kind of on a hiatus right now with that band. But,
Yeah, they might all choose to tone her down a little bit and help
Exactly.
to accommodate new lifestyles.
I know two of the
memories
guys
and things.
are having a side project now called Rottweiler. I don't know if they've announced that yet or not.
Uh-oh.
I don't know if I'll be in trouble for that. But yeah, they're going to be cooking up something pretty awesome.
Right.
So there's always good music in Calgary. There's always, no matter what
course.
genre it is, there's always an awesome local scene.
Yeah, despite losing a few of the really great local venues, dare I say awesome local
Awesome.
venues.
I would definitely say awesome.
Yeah, no, I mean, first one that comes to mind was Distortion
Yeah.
on McLeod Trail. It's
Yep.
one of my favorites. After losing awesome venues like that, we still have a very vibrant scene. There's still plethora of live music all over the city.
There
and,
is. It's harder to find because, like you said, we don't have as many venues as we did.
right.
I think COVID kind of hurt us that way. I mean, COVID hurt a lot of things, but I mean, it's still out there. I mean, if you type up local Calgary music on Facebook, you'll find 5 different events happening this weekend.
Of course.
So I mean, you just got to look for it.
Yeah, that's right. Do you plan on re-entering the scene in a way, potentially with Concrete Funeral or with a different project?
Yes.
Point form works.
Yeah.
Man.
Now,
Yeah.
don't ask me when. Don't ask me when. I don't know when, but
Right.
yes.
That's fantastic news. Yeah.
It might be when I'm in my 50s and I just play a little blues band, but
Yeah. But
it could be 5 years from now. But
Right.
yes, definitely.
a part of you that will not die out.
100%,
The desire
man.
to perform and to be active
Exactly.
in the music scene. right?
Exactly.
I share that same goal. I had left the band I was with. I was with WMD
Yeah.
for many years, and since my departure, I've been certainly less active or on a musical hiatus, I can say.
Yeah, that's funny
But
how that
yeah.
happens too, right?
Yeah.
You just don't play as much.
Right. Yeah. Well, I guess I'm not sure how much you know. I went through a pretty severe work accident right around that kind of helped to kick off my decision
Right.
with that, but also with meeting her around the same time. Big lifestyle change happened. But I have every intention on re-entering the scene, and I, of course, am gathering forces and writing and tracking and everything. But no, I understand exactly what you're saying, because although you're on a hiatus, I had every intention on reigniting that fire that once was.
100%. 100%. Because when it's so important to you and it's become an identity, like it's impossible to just walk away from it forever.
Yeah.
Like even though we're on a break, like
Yeah.
I'll go back.
Just waiting for my hair to grow out a little bit.
Yeah,
longer,
exactly,
actually.
right?
I decided to cut it a while back, and I gotta wait a
The
little
power
longer.
of the music is in the hair.
Yeah,
right?
no doubt. Yeah, I couldn't imagine being on stage with hair of this length. It'd be weird.
People do it.
It would work. I'd get over it, but it'd be weird.
It would
right
be
off the
weird,
bat,
yeah.
no doubt about that.
It's like putting on a uniform, right? It's like when
Yeah,
you go
it
up on
feels like
stage, you have your uniform, you have your guitar or your drumsticks and your long hair and your persona.
Yeah, precisely. Right. No. All in good time.
Yes,
All things grow
exactly.
slowly.
Exactly. One step at a time, right?
Okay, give me one more thing. Give me something else.
One more personal thing?
Us. Yeah. What? You can't. It must be something other than music. Something else, anyways.
Putting me on the spot here.
Teletubby.
Between,
You collect Teletubby collectibles, or
I wish I could
No?
say I
Not that?
did.
No.
I wish I did,
Shot in the
because
dark.
didn't those collectibles become collectible? Oh, Pokemon cards. I wish
Yeah,
I
those are
collected
also-
those.
Yeah,
I mean, one of the Pokemon cards, Charizard, I think, just sold for $5 million last year.
yeah. Wild.
Like, it's insane.
Yeah, that's
it's
wild.
So I wish I did have that. Honestly, just home life. I have a dog and a cat, and with my girlfriend, the 4 of us, like that's my world. Like outside real estate, outside music, that's my girlfriend, my dog, and my cat are everything.
Right. No, I can relate as well. No, for sure. There's work, of course. Real estate in your case, the No Payne Roofing for myself. And
Yeah.
home life and
Exactly.
obviously the goings on of around the house, and being newly married and soon to go on a honeymoon and all that. Certainly a major part of my life. and I
Exactly,
guess-
exactly. And it's funny how life takes you through these different cycles. Everything's cyclic, right? Everything's
Yeah,
cyclical.
Of course, yeah.
The real estate market goes up and down, goes up and down, goes up and down. Stock market, up and down, up and down. Everything in life, you go through different cycles. And whether it's with music, and then you go through a career change, then you go through an injury. I myself, last year, went through a back injury. So I had 2 herniated discs and a bulging disc, and that was not awesome. That was the least awesome thing
I
I've
didn't
ever
know
been
that,
through.
man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I almost had to get surgery. I had like 6 different spine injections. Like it was rough. But yeah, so that was unpleasant. I guess one thing I do like is cooking. I've always loved cooking.
Hey.
Not
yeah, now you're
always.
talking.
Let's say 2019 I started really loving cooking.
When you actually had to cook for yourself eventually.
Exactly. Well, when I had somebody, because that's when I met my girlfriend, is when you have somebody to cook for, it makes all the difference, right? A bachelor living on your own or single guy, single girl, whatever. It's cooking for one just isn't it. Cooking for two, game changer.
Yeah.
So yeah, cooking. I love cooking.
I also like cooking, but I've got nothing on this chick here because Carly cooks for me.
That's
Thankfully,
awesome.
you keep hitting your head off the TV.
Yeah.
No, Carly can cook a mean dish or two, and no, if I cook for her, it's usually, hey, you want like creamy garlic toast or something, or like what do you want, like
Weirdest concoctions you could
I make
ever
weird
do.
stuff.
Sounds
I don't
good.
know. I'm no connoisseur.
Well, garlic
I'm
is.
not the same as him. He's like, do you want to eat this ramen with Caesar dressing in it? I'm like, no.
That sounds good though.
I don't know. I can't say that I haven't probably tried that in the past,
Yeah,
but
you put it in a wrap.
throw it in a wrap.
that solves the problem. That's how you take it to gourmets. You throw it
Yeah,
in a wrap.
that might work. Cool. Quick question about your back injury. Was that maybe just an accumulation from the past work that you were involved in?
For sure. So I was in oil and gas for 10 years. And it was a great company, fantastic company. They had great procedures. They were all about safety. I was just young and thought I was Superman and was lifting things that I shouldn't have been lifting and doing it for 10 years. Your back starts to let you know as soon as once you hit 30, your back starts to tell you like there's got to be a better way to do this.
Right.
And of course I was stupid and didn't listen, so I ended up with 2 herniated discs and a bulging disc and spinal stenosis and ended up just not being able to do anything, man. I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat, I couldn't walk, I couldn't sit. Everything hurt. Like it was rough. So I ended up going to the hospital after like 6 months of that because I'm stubborn. My girlfriend's telling me, go to the hospital. It's like, no, it's not. It's not serious enough yet. It's not. I'm still breathing. It's not life and death. But I finally did go to the hospital, and they stuck me in an MRI tube, and they're like, yeah, so this is not right. I go, okay, so what do we do? They're like, well, you can do these injections with physiotherapy, or you can do surgery. I go, well, I don't want surgery. So it was different cortisone injections and nerve block injections and epidural injections and
physio
and like 8 months of physiotherapy, man. But yeah, I'm back at it. And I was getting my real estate license through all of this too. So
I see.
just to give more motivation, like still working full time with a back injury, then on disability, and then got my license. So like you can get your license if you put your mind to it. If I can do it, I swear anybody can. Maybe not anybody, but a large majority of people can.
From the sounds of it, you have to put your back into it also.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Don't put your back into it.
No. And if you're gonna put your back into it, be mild with it.
Lift with
Be
your
mindful.
legs and wear your safety equipment.
Right. Indeed. Cool. Well, I'm happy to get a couple laughs out of you, and I'm happy that you decided to come down here. I know it was extremely last minute calling upon you like this, but I'm very grateful, as is Carly and everybody here at No Payne, that you were able to come and entertain us and
hey, no worries.
certainly help to elaborate on real estate and help us to understand a little bit more about the process and what it's really like. So
it was my pleasure. I mean, thank you for having me. This was a good time. I mean, the setup you guys have here is incredible, and I could just hang out here. It's very comfortable.
Yeah, no, it's pretty chill. It's humble. It's obviously in the early phases. We've only been in this room for a couple episodes, but it went together, and I mean, still working out a couple of the technical difficulties, obviously, but
that's still awesome.
How's the technical? Am I still blurry, Carly?
Yes.
Still blurry. Goodness, I wonder how blurry I really am, because when you blow the camera image up on the flat screen, it's like it's not that clear. But anyways, doesn't matter. I'm ugly anyways. It's all good. Anyways, yeah. So I suppose we'll wrap it all up here. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Of course, reminder: we do run the mystery word challenge, and we have been using a mystery word. It doesn't sound like we've had any guesses. Otherwise, Carly may have. We have lots of guesses, but they're wrong, right? So you're all wrong. Keep guessing, because up until we run the next podcast, you can certainly continue to guess the mystery word on this episode.
That sounds so awesome.
It does, indeed. Yeah.
It really does sound awesome.
Winning the prize would be awesome.
It's an awesome prize.
Again, yeah, you have an attempt to win $500 cash if you guess the correct mystery word, that is. If you don't guess, if you don't win the $500, we have battery banks, Bluetooth speakers, cutting boards, dog leashes. So I'm pointing at Jesse because he mentioned he had a dog.
Yeah,
We
I
have
do.
mugs. We have picnic backpacks, barbecue kits. There's too many things for me to remember. But yeah, we got a lot of cool stuff. Anyways, thanks everybody for tuning in. And I'd like to thank Jesse as well for coming in.
No worries.
As I said already, you kind of saved the day. And
No worries.
Yeah,
If anybody wants to talk real estate with me, Instagram is the best way to get a hold of me, or my phone number, either one.
of course. Right.
Well, Instagram, Jessie Lindbeck Real Estate, and all my contact info's there.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, we'll be sharing this video and a lot of that information along with a link to this video, of course. And yeah, if nobody guesses that mystery word before you do, be sure to keep on guessing because we will go live this coming Monday if you do win. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. Carly, thank you for sitting behind the desk again. And Jesse, thank you for being a part of this.
My pleasure.
Right. Again, next Thursday, 3 p.m., we'll be going live again with another guest. So be sure to tune in. And in the meantime, be good to one another. Be mindful of your back. It will not last forever.
No, it won't.
And hey, listen to some good music. It's good for the soul. Yeah. And remember, auras. Auras are what's the word I'm looking for? They are real and they are detectable, right? Anyways, I'm blabbering. Take care, everybody.
Screen up.